You are tuned in to the
Turn Up, presented by Great Roots. This is season 4, episode whatever it's supposed to be.
We don't have a clue.
I have a clue, but I think I'm one off or one forward. So I appreciate you all following us with the episodes anyway. So there's that.
Yeah, so we have another week in the garden.
Stop singing. Yes. We are getting there. The weather is really nice.
Finally breaking.
In the south, it's breaking. We get the rain when we need it, the sun all the time. We did have a little dip this week in the coolness.
It wasn't a little dip. It was like 40
It
degrees.
was 40, yeah. But, you know, being the person that you are, intuitive and actually paying attention, we didn't plant too much, whatever. But we have planted some leafy greens. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we've covered them. We've covered them so that the rodents don't get them and the chickens won't get them because they will eat them. I mean, even when we were planting them in there, the chickens jumped up on the bench and started eating the leaves. So, but we did a good job and they're growing. So that is nice. So that's what we're doing.
That's why it's important to check out your weather because a lot of your seasonal, air quote, vegetables are not ready to go outside right now. So we have in our mini greenhouse inside the house, we have peppers, we have cucumbers, we have tomatoes, we have eggplant, and the tomatoes, cucumber, and eggplant are growing really well. However, if I were to put them outside, they'd be dead.
Like all other stuff that we planted. So.
Oh yeah, but these are doing well. So we ended up being able to put leafy greens out later than usual. You wouldn't typically plant them in April, but it's been chilly at night, which your leafy greens like. So the collard greens are starting to grow, the bok choy is starting to grow, the kale is starting to grow.
Yep.
And so I know a lot of times we have these conversations about seasonal vegetables, but just be mindful that the seasons aren't what they always are. And just look at your local weather to determine what you should and shouldn't plant. So yes.
Yeah, so look forward to planting some more. Is it this weekend we plant?
Yes, this weekend we're actually going to put our summertime crops, which are tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, eggplant in the ground outside. And when we say summertime crops, that means the crops that will actually bear fruit in the summertime, not putting them in the ground in the summertime. So you technically put summertime crops in the ground in the spring.
In the spring, yep. So I know some of you all have already started planting, even planter boxes, pots, or even in the ground, depends on what area you are in the U.S. So just be mindful. So don't be discouraged if stuff is not growing or if it's dying. You planted too soon. So
just like we did. Just start over.
Start over. Just start over. Do not be discouraged. Just start over. So, but today we have another
very special guest.
We always say special guest.
We have a really good group of kids who comes and supports our garden and helps us out, and even created their own garden this year. They come every Wednesday, and we had the opportunity to talk with their leader.
Yes, and like I said, it was a very organic meeting. Met Michelle at the coffee shop. Some individuals said that we should meet. The coffee shop is right at the top of the street, right across from what we call the lot. And like I said, it was a match made in heaven. And bringing those kids have really, I think, benefited them and also have benefited us. Yeah. So I'm so glad that we were able to make this synergy work and, just kind of discuss with Michelle, like where FCS is going, how it started, what's her passion in regards to that.
So without further ado, we have our special guest, and we'll let her introduce herself, actually, since she's here.
Well, thanks for having me, and my name is Michelle Witherspoon, and I am the Youth Engagement Coordinator at Focus Community Strategies here in South Atlanta.
That's what FCS stands for? I did not know.
Yeah.
You didn't?
No.
Future Career.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know, for real. I was going to ask you that.
Focus Community Strategies.
Focus Community Strategies, okay.
In South Atlanta for about 40 years.
Wow.
And
you said 40?
So
I should have asked more questions. I should have asked more.
That's right.
It's like we're interviewing a stranger. My fault.
Maybe
we'll get to how we know Michelle, but I like this. I like this. We're learning as we grow.
Yeah.
Like
we're neighbors. Actually.
Yeah, we're neighbors.
We're neighbors,
yes.
And
for 40 years.
You gonna let me finish now?
No.
He's gonna take over the whole introduction.
My moment. Right. My moment. So I do the youth engagement And so we are trying to create a space for children in this area where they can join their lives and become friends with somebody that might look different than them, socioeconomically might be different, might have different parent dynamics, family dynamics, and because we believe that, like, in the ways that the world separates, if children can learn to be friends together and do new and exciting things together, then we feel like the world can do this. So that is our goal. We're just trying to join our lives in a communal way. All the kids that attend youth group are in the area. We at FCS, we are looking at neighborhoods like South Atlanta holistically. So we're looking at housing and economic development. We need businesses that are healthy, not just liquor stores on the corners. So we're trying to engage neighbors in all kinds of ways for the common good. So I am actually a native of Ohio, so Georgia is new to me as of about 10, 11 years ago, and I love it. Got two amazing little girls, 8 and 5, who really wish they could be on the podcast as well.
They do.
And a husband who's doing some really good work here in Atlanta, nonprofit work. So we are boots on the ground, and this is our heart, not just what we do for a paycheck. So
I like that. I can't remember how we met and how this all started.
Well, so one of the directors of FCS said, "Do you know Malcolm?" And I'm like, probably seen him in the coffee shop. And she's like, "You got to get to know him. He's doing this great garden across the street." And then we got together at FCS, and I thought he was really down to earth and cool. And then we came across the street, and I was like, "How did we not know this was here?" And it literally is right here.
That's right. And it was strategically like that, because it blocks. We have natural force that blocks it because of people that's coming down the street. Like I said, this neighborhood has been turning. I've been here 15 years, and so I've seen a lot of different things. And people think they can get past the train by going down here and stuff. So we try to hide it. We have cameras all around because people will start snooping and taking and everything at all types of night. But but when we met, our conversation was very organic. And then when I found out about the kids and stuff, and I was like, okay, it's going to be a kid group, because we've worked with kid groups before. But I think what's so fantastic about FCS is because your dedication. Because me and Tasha are kind of busy sometimes, and we'd be like, all right, let's just blow it off. But you be like, no. And then when you brought the kid, but no, that's the beauty of it. Because when
she doesn't blow it off.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, she's always talking about like, work, whatever. But I guess seeing the kids for the first time, and it's from 4 to 18. And
no, not quite.
Oh,
so we got 6-year-olds, and then it goes up to about 18.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Who was 4? Oh, I thought. Oh no.
Well, mine was 4 at the time. She's 5 now. So
and that's the phenomenal about it, because like I said, we've had groups before, and the kids will sit around. But I think what the selling point is with the chickens. Right. So
they hug on these chickens.
They do. Like, they love on these chickens. They pick them up. They rub them. They carry them around the garden. Chickens are like, we're not used to this.
Yeah,
what's going on right now?
I don't show them no love. They are here to lay eggs. So that's so that has the chickens enjoy it. And now they know the routine of it's going to be a Wednesday, and they see the kids and stuff.
And they run.
They run. They for fun.
And we were just seeing tonight how I remember a little girl, Anaya, who her first time was like, "Oh no, like I can't touch this dirt. Ooh." And then tonight she's digging hardcore, getting the soil out. And she's like, "I love this dirt. It feels so good," and we just noticed she's very comfortable now with the dirt.
Yeah, she at first asked me for some gloves too. And then I saw some gloves and I said, "Whose gloves are those?" She's like, "They're mine. I don't need them." I was like, "Okay."
It's because we encourage no gloves, because even when the young lady, when she had her feet in there, and she was like, "Oh, my feet are in it." And I said, "There's something about touching the soil with your extremities or whatever, and it does change." We've seen it with all different types of kids, and I think that's the progression over the months and stuff that we've been doing this. The kids, the ones that have turned into leaders in the ones that you said didn't want to get dirty. Now I don't know what y'all do with the parents because they be coming with their Air Force One and their J's. And I was like, y'all know it's gonna be Wednesday, so
I know,
but they
and I
still
tell
get dirty.
But that's on you if you don't get it.
Yeah, that's the thing because the kids have changed and they've been.
have.
I'm gonna want to get dirty. I don't want to do this, or I want to stand on the side. But like I said, it's amazing. Like today is probably one of the biggest times where I wasn't doing anything today.
Mm-hmm.
And then even the young ones and the old ones, we broke up into groups. That's phenomenal the way that you all are teaching them.
And they wanted to get it done. I could see their eagerness to get the job done, and I think that's what part of what I wanted to do with the partnership is one to get exposure to the growing process.
Mm-hmm.
They're eating a lot of hot Cheetos, let's be honest, and not connected to where food comes from or vegetables in general. Like they're eating their grandma's food, but they're not eating vegetables on the regular like they ought to. And so my hope is that it will inspire a growing process.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like our family started our first garden after being like with y'all. So I mean, we're getting it.
For me, I think looking back, what got me into gardening initially was I had a kid that came to me at work one day, and his mom said I can't get him to eat cucumbers, and I was like, well, why? She's like, because I started growing them in the backyard, and he said he won't eat them because cucumbers don't come from the dirt; they come from the grocery store.
Right.
And so she was like, I keep trying to explain to him that the grocery store ones come from the dirt first, and he just didn't get that. And so I think it's really valuable for them to be able to see, like, oh, we're laying this dirt, oh, we're getting the wood chips, oh, we're laying cardboard to help the soil. They're like figuring it out from the ground up.
Yes.
So it helps them to have a little bit more intrigue and interest in tasting what they've kind of worked hard to grow.
It's gonna be great. And even the worms, they got down with the worms, and after some didn't even want to touch the worms, and then we are feeding them to the chickens, and it's just been really, really good.
It is. I have seen the growth. So this is the second season you guys have come out and been with us, and I've seen the growth. So, at first they're like kind of standoffish and I don't know if I want to do this or what is that? I don't want to taste this. And then now they're like, what can I do? I want to help with that. I want to get in there. Give me the rake. Give me the shovel. I want to get the wood chips. And so they're now like fighting over who's doing what. And so it has been really good to see the engagement increase and see their interest levels peak and then just take it on as their own.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But what got you into the youth?
So, I have an education background, so I was an elementary school teacher, and I have done a lot of different nonprofit work over the years. But when I moved here to South Atlanta, one of the things that I remember seeing upon like the first couple weeks is a little girl who was walking the street by herself on the sidewalk, and she had to have been like 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched for a while, and I was like, who is her mom? Where does she stay? Why is she out here by herself? And I think it just moved on my heart to like get involved with the kids in the neighborhood. Also, kids are easy. If you are into them, they are usually really open. And so on our block, we just had like this, I had corralled all these children, and so we had to get something going formally. And there had been historically a neighborhood youth group. So I started volunteering with this church that used to be up here at the building across the street. And I just volunteered for years and corralled all these kids that were on my block to come to that. And over time, the leadership changed, and they were like, do you want this youth group? And I was like, of course I want it. Like, this is the neighborhood youth group. And then if you ask the kids, like, are you going to youth group tonight? They don't care too much about FCS because it's just youth group for them. And so, carrying the tradition of, it's been here for a long time, and I love kids, and so here we are.
Yeah, now because when I watch them, I have kids, but college and in high school or whatever, and they've been working in the yard and the garden since they were responsible for clearing out this land and everything. So when they get older, they're not going to know any different. They know where everything comes from. They know how to water. They know how to take care of it. They're not going to know that they know until they get older, and then they're going to start doing something. And then I'm just watching these these kids, and I was just like, and how you all pour into them, and then how I see the parents bringing them and picking them up, and hopefully they're going home and they're talking about it, because the way they're out here, like I said, the engagement, and now it's different, especially the males. I like that aspect of the males, because it seems like somebody cares about them and they know what hard work does, and I can't wait for them to start seeing what they did for the whole seed to feed. So I don't know when this stuff is going to start growing. I don't even know if we're going to have to plant some fake ones in there and just say, look what you did. Just you know what I'm saying? But that's the one thing.
We're going to
they gotta get the whole way.
Yeah.
You got to get, because that stuff, the stuff we plant now, we're going to be with June or July when it's going to come
So
out.
yeah, what the plan is to plant some plants next week, or plant some crops next week. And so if this is the end of April, they'll see some fruit in July.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you remember last season, y'all did the seeds, and
Kale.
we did a contest.
Yes.
Now they got down with that contest because, and I loved it, one, because I wanted them to see the connection of like growing something and like tending to it, but also that like there can be fruits to this labor, right? Like you can sell things, or you know, but making that money, they were so pumped about that. I think that was really great.
Yeah. I forgot about all that
Yeah,
stuff.
it gives them a sense of responsibility, and then also autonomy, right? Like, oh, I grew this, I watched it, I took care of it, you know, I saw it from seed to feed kind of thing. I think it's intriguing when you give kids a seed and then they just water it, and all of a sudden there's like a little flower, a little leaf that comes out. Yeah.
And even in our house, we had two of them, because Tori had one and Savannah had one, and one sprouted really well and the other didn't. And so it was another opportunity to say, like, this is what happens in life sometimes, right? Like, we do everything right and it didn't turn out the way we wanted to. So what are we gonna do with that? You know,
Right.
It was a great teaching moment just doing that.
I'm glad you said that, because I do hear you always using, you know, if it be a Bible verse or learning lessons when they're doing stuff, because I'm sure those kids are used to everybody just yelling at them when they're doing something, or how that's how they communicate. And I love how you all communicate with them and put the lessons to it. So, you know, sometimes I had to be like, oh, you're right. Because I'm learning at the same time too, you know what I'm saying? Because these are different kids, and I've got to learn how to be patient too, because, you know, at the end of the day, I gotta get this done, because I'm looking at that, because I know what we did today is gonna look totally different, because Sunday, me and my son, we're gonna finish all of that off, but I enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah, they did. I mean, it was fun. Now, I mean, it's the first time I didn't have to do the wheelbarrow. I mean, these kids were 8 and 9. They broke into groups, and the young girls is doing it. They're not afraid to spread it all out and get their hands.
Oh,
and the
you
other
should have
ones
heard them too. They were like, "It's girl power today." They're
Yeah.
like, "We're really." Did you notice that the girls are really, you know, keeping this thing going?
And then the leadership and the way they were able to speak to each other is attested to you all, because they don't yell at each other. Of course, there's still kids that chase each other and play around, but when you get them, what do y'all clap? Or y'all sing a song? Something y'all do. Yeah.
They have to
And
echo
then
it
the
back.
echo it. I like that call and response on that
Yeah,
too.
because I mean, you
I
don't
should've
need
did
to.
that.
You
Wasn't
can
that
get the
her?
job done by doing that. You don't have to yell.
I'm gonna
And
start doing that to Tasha when she ain't paying attention. She's like,
I
I don't feel like it's working.
He's
Exactly, it's not working.
laughing at himself like, oh, that's me.
I gotta do my thing. I'm the only one here.
But what's funny is I also noticed, because, you know, sometimes kids have a hard time getting along, and I know you mentioned earlier, like, if they can do this together, right? Like, if we can get kids to do this together, it seems like something the world should be able to do. And I noticed when they're out there together, they actually work together. Like, they figure it out. I had the older guys today kind of like pulling weeds, and they came across this tree, or the tree roots.
Yeah.
They got there together, figured it out, got the tree root up, and they were just so stoked and excited. And I know one of your staff members, Alicia, had said, like, oh, they got that root out. I said, I let them figure it out. Like, they got together, came with a plan, and like totally got it out. So it's interesting, you're right, like they also come out here and learn these life lessons about, let's figure out how to work together. Let's figure out how to share.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how to get like a assembly line going so we can get this work and this task done quickly. Like, they're starting to understand how cohesiveness works, how collaboration works, how hard work, can have so many benefits. So there's so many life lessons they're actually learning just by coming out here and having fun in the garden.
Absolutely.
I like the math aspect. That's why I keep always giving them math problems. It's like, hey, if we got to dump this wheelbarrow and then fill it halfway up, and we got 10 of these, how many times and trips are y'all gonna have to make? And like something like that. Like, was it a problem based learning or whatever?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So that's why I try to. I'm being an engineer. I always want to.
And you give them tips. Like I heard you tonight saying, like, make the work close, or bring your work close to you, or like, why take the bucket and do 5 steps when you bring the wheelbarrow right next to you, and just efficiency and little I could sort of hear like my grandparents.
Well, then that's where I got it from, and that's
right?
That's exactly
telling
where I got
me
it
these
from.
slogans over the years that I hold, and like and the kids think they're married, by the way. They got a lot of questions.
A lot of questions.
About
No.
the relationship of the farmers.
Yes. They're like, this is Farmer Mac's house? Where do you live?
Well, I mean, that teaches
They
them a lesson
assume
too.
that y'all are together. Maybe we need to have a garden proposal or something to make the kids
They're learning
happy.
that one beautiful person and a regular person can be friends.
Exactly.
And I think, it just needs to be spoken that y'all are brown, and it's everything to me that you guys are leading this here in South Atlanta, and that you're not white people leading the gardening. You're brown people, and because they look at you and think, well, I can do that.
Right.
And
Never
they
looked at
see
it like that.
themselves. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I never, I just,
You're brown.
I know, but I see that difference, yeah. But that is true, though.
Yeah.
To see somebody that look like you doing stuff like that, and for us, I guess, doing the hard work and still being able to relate to them and everything, too. Like, we probably won't see the fruit of our labors, because it'll be something later on in life, and it'll just click.
Yep.
And that's wonderful.
And same with you as a woman. Like you're just as much out in that dirt.
Oh yeah.
You're leading more than I be, because I be watching.
And you have a
On my
lot of
phone.
information you give them, and I think that's really huge.
Yeah. I think to your point, especially when you live in cities like Atlanta or these larger cities where their gentrification is happening so often, you do often have people that don't look like you that are coming into your neighborhood and kind of giving you instruction. And so when you kind of stay, when you have that neighborhood camaraderie where you're like, wait, they're doing a garden, they look like me, like, oh, they know how to
live
do
here.
stuff right.
Yep, they live here, and they go, they tell people about it. That now we're at the corner, or the beds are visible at the corner, and so it's good to see them like that. That's what we're doing over there. They're owning it.
Gives them a sense of pride.
So where do you see the FCS youth program going? Like, what is your goal in the next few years for this program?
Well, to grow, we want to keep growing and have as many participants as we can. I think that we want to continue to just invest in community. Like right now we're doing a series with the older kids on, it's called Pathways to Life, but we're focusing on like real tender topics like drugs, dating, relationships, pushing into depression and anxiety, and those that are suicidal. So because what we recognize is that mental health has really, the teenagers are showing really a lot of signs of mental health stuff, and over the pandemic especially. And then what we wanted to keep focusing on with the younger kids is these like new experiences. And I say, like, healthy families do a variety of things together, but one thing that healthy families do together is that they do new experiences together. And so we want to give opportunity for our family, our community, our youth group family to do new experiences together. So we're doing fun things like Six Flags. We wanted the kids to just keep socializing because they've been cooped up and still coming out of pandemic. So keeping them socialized and then just allowing friendship to grow. It really is not complicated in that way. Like, that's really what we want, is them to join their lives in special ways together.
So if somebody wanted to support your program, how would that look, or how would they find you guys? What would they need to do?
So you can find us on the fcsministries.org, and it's pretty clear on how to donate and help our program. We have a bike program too, which is really cool. That's come out of the pandemic
I like seeing them.
when we didn't know what programming was possible. We got on bikes and we said, well, this is safe, and we found out that it's really good for mental health. And so you'll see riding through the neighborhood, we've got these bright, lime green shirts.
One day.
Yeah, I see them all the time. I was like, man, I want to ride with them. Yeah. But,
so you can always support that effort too. And so we're trying to make sure that food is, not that every kid that comes isn't hungry, and just making sure that that's not a barrier to what we're trying to do.
Is it just for the kids in this area, or like if somebody sees this and it's like, okay, I'm in Southwest Atlanta.
Yeah.
This is more focused on Southeast or whatever. Or...
Yeah, I mean, we kind of just want it to be a little bit. Now we have kids that are in the surrounding neighborhoods, right? So we might have a kid from Adair Park or Pittsburgh, but the majority are from South Atlanta, and that's kind of what our sweet spot is. We want to make sure that most of our leaders too are here in the neighborhood, and we want kids to be passing you on the street. We want, you know what I mean? We want touch points. We're very intentional about that in who we bring on as a leader. And we've got a core of like 5-6 student leaders that are doing a really good job with the younger group. So we've asked them to consider, how have you been impacted by youth group, and then give back by donating your time, and we pay them something too.
I think that's important. You were saying something like seeing the kids on the street, and just to kind of round it out, I think that's important, because if I start to see you on the street and I see that you're actually doing something, a lot of times the community takes care of their kids, and if they start to see the kids more often, they're like, yep, we need to make sure that kid's safe.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
For
so
sure.
Like you saw this kid walking down the street, you're like, we need to make sure this kid is safe, that this kid feels like this community has their back, like this community, if something happens, and they're going to be there for them. I think that's really important, again, to have this community-based structure where kids feel safe in their community. So
yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we've had examples of a parent saying have you seen so-and-so? And I'm like, let me get on, and I group text, and we got every kid in youth group's parents looking for this kid. And then, 20 minutes later, we figure out where they are, but I feel like that's a special thing. And, one thing I love about South Atlanta is that people walk in this neighborhood. So you do see people on the street, and you do pass people. And if you slow down enough to get outside and on your porch, you're going to get, it's not like everybody's, not interacting. I love that about South Atlanta.
And we love what you're doing. Like I said, I walk around, I've been here for 15 years, and I see how the changes, and like I said, so it gives me hope for the kids in this area, because this has not always been the nicest area and opportunities for kids, whatever, but what FCS is doing is giving them that outlet, and hopefully they, it continues as they get older, more kids come in, and they go and they go on about it, and then become productive citizens in society and eat healthy, and then they go into careers of health, or even just at home they were like, hey, I'm gonna start growing. Hey mom, hey dad, let's just do this.
Just do a tomato plant.
Let's just do something like that. So something simple like that. So I'm glad we've had the opportunity to work with y'all and helping to support you all moving forward. And
awesome.
So appreciate your time, and like I said, next time bring the little ones so they can, enlighten and see the fruit of your labor.
Y'all are gonna want to hear from Savannah.
Oh yeah, all the kids are lovely out there. So like I said, just to seeing that grow makes it know this has all been worth it, and we can continue to see that. Like I said, seed the feast. And when they get to the business aspect of this, and they start learning how to sell and how much it takes to make, one little seed can
we
turn
might have
into
a
a lot.
farmer's market
That's
in our
gonna be
future.
fun. Oh,
led by
definitely.
children.
Led by
that's
children.
our hope.
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle.
Did I do it right? There we go.
Thank you.
With that, we out.